Hey everyone, and Happy New Year. This year has been a great year for me on this platform, so I just want to thank you guys because you made it happen. You watch my videos, you like them, all that great stuff. And I finally actually hit 25,000 subscribers this year, which is huge. And if you enjoy this video, it wouldn't hurt to watch it all the way through, like the video, and if you haven't already, subscribe and hit the bell, because I feel like not a lot of people are hitting the bell. Or else they're just not watching the videos because they don't like them. But I prefer to think it's the former. So yeah, I guess I'll see you in 2022, and get ready for the first of several outfit changes as I transition into the video. Wow!
Hi new friends, thanks for stopping by. And before we get into this amazing movie series, I just want to address some comments that I got on my Blue Sky ranking video. I did get a lot of positive comments, people agreeing with my views on movies like Rio and Rio 2, some people disagreeing with my views on movies like Horton Hears a Who and the Captain Underpants movie. A lot of people were sticking up for the Captain Underpants movie. For some reason, I had no idea that that movie had so many super fans. I still think the animation is ugly. I'm sorry. I just don't like it. Also, there were a lot of people commenting that they were upset that they clicked on my thumbnail thinking it was a Shea Frillo's Productions video, which was in fact my intention. But one thing that I think I got the most comments about that I definitely did not expect was people upset that I didn't know who the actor David Tennant was. David Tennant was the voice of that stupid Scottish Highland Bull thing in Ferdinand. And I showed a picture of him on screen with the text that said, I don't know who this guy is. And for 3 seconds, I think I got more comments about those 3 seconds of the video than anything else. I guess that shows that people were actually paying attention to the video though, so in a weird way I feel kind of good about that. But I'd like to formally apologize to you, David Tennant. If you're watching this, you probably aren't. I'd like to apologize for tarnishing your good name. I had no idea you were such a household name to so many people. I've never seen Doctor Who, but I have seen Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. He's a good actor, I just forgot his name. I'm sorry, and I promise I will do better in the future. With that out of the way, if you recall in my Blue Sky ranking video, I grouped all the Ice Age movies together, all 5 of the Ice Age movies in one short segment, because I really felt the same about all of them. They were kind of whatever. I didn't have a lot of value to say about them, because there wasn't a lot of value in them. But there were a few comments calling me out for this, saying, oh, you need to give Ice Age a chance. Gotta cut the bathroom. I got a few comments calling me out for this, grouping them all together, saying that, oh, you didn't give them a fair chance, but the first one's actually pretty good. Now, I didn't actually rewatch the movies before making the video, because A, I did not want to track down copies of the movies because they weren't on any streaming service, and 2, I didn't want to sit through them because I knew they would be mediocre and a waste of my time. But now, they're on Disney+. All 5 of the movies are on Disney+, and it's winter break, so I have all the time in the world. So I thought, you know what? For you and for me, I'm going to resubmit myself to the Ice Age Quintilogy. I'm going to sit down at my desk and watch all 5 movies back to back to back to back to back, and then talk about them when they're fresh in my mind and I can actually write real thoughts about them. And who knows, maybe my rankings will change by the end of this. So, let's see how that went. Oh, like that. That's it. Okay, let's watch the movie. What is this? Okay, I already hate this. I hate this guy's voice. What was that? Why was that? It was slow motion? Well, that was awful. I hate Sid. No, it's the baby. How long is this movie? Okay, we got about an hour and 10 minutes to go. Okay, great. Dude, what is happening? Why am I still here? Yeah, I've stopped the recording. Okay, I just finished watching the first Ice Age, and I went into this wanting my mind to be changed about these movies, or at least the first movie, because people were saying good things about it, and I was like, oh, I didn't remember the good things about it. I want to watch it again and be reminded of the good things. I want this movie to be redeemed in my mind. But damn, that was not a good movie. I'm even more confused now. This was Blue Sky's debut film. This was the movie that launched them into popularity. This is what prompted them to make 4 more of these. It basically made them who they are. And it's just not good. I don't know, man. It's just it's nothing special at all. The emotional core is kind of there. Like there is that, you know, pretty standard buddy road trip story, which is, it's like, it's fine, but it's like flawed in almost every aspect. Like, it's pretty boring. The writing isn't very good. Things kind of just happen with no rhyme or reason. Everything that's supposed to be part of the drama is just like colossally underwhelming. It reminded me of The Good Dinosaur a lot in that respect. They're both about prehistoric creatures returning a baby to their family. It's kind of funny. Like the attempts at emotional moments, like when Diego and Manny have that bonding moment when he saves him on the cliff. It just didn't feel like a real thing that was happening. His shift in attitude was like very abrupt. I didn't feel like it was. I didn't feel real. I should also mention that I frickin' hate Sid. I didn't remember how much I hated him. I do not like Sid. Oh, but yeah, he's funny and he has character development. He becomes friend. No, he's an idiot. He's never funny. In fact, the whole movie's kind of not that funny. The animation is not good. I was gonna give it a pass for that because it came out in 2002, but then I remembered Toy Story, the first entirely CG movie to ever exist, and that movie is about 10 times better in every way than Ice Age, so no.
And just real quick, I remembered this clip. I just wanted to show it, just show it to you guys. Just look at this. What was that, dude? Why was that slowed down to like 0.8% speed? It was like, it's like they exported the animation and then they manually slowed it down in like Final Cut or something. Why'd you do that? It's 3D animation. You don't need to do that.
And even the shots, even like the direction, the cinematography, I think is the word, is just very basic and bland. It's the camera's static most of the entire movie. It's very bland. I think that's a good word for this movie. It's very bland. It drags on. It's very slow. I just did not have a good time with this movie. This movie is as empty as the barren fucking tundra that the whole thing takes place in. And I'm saying all this negative stuff, but like at the end of the day, it's fine. It's whatever. I give it like a 5 out of 10, 2.5 stars. But what I don't get is why, like, a lot of people actually would call this movie, they like it enough to call this movie their favorite Blue Sky movie. I just don't see what is so special, what is so good, what grabs people about this movie. It did not grab me in any way. But if this is how I feel about the first Ice Age, then, well, that does not bode well for the remaining 4/5 of my marathon, so wish me luck. Okay. Yeah, dude, that was a movie that I just watched. I think the best way to summate the plot of this movie, Ice Age 2, is things happening for an hour and a half. That's it. Things happening. I am not kidding. This is one of the most ridiculous movies I have seen in God knows how long. It is so incohesive and stupid in every single event. It's just completely disconnected from the last. It is absolutely absurd. I felt like I was on a trip. I felt like I was high the whole time, or like in some sort of fever dream. Like, what happened? I took some notes because there's no way I was gonna remember the plot of this freaking thing. Every so often, those two possums would start running around and screaming for no reason. Sid got kidnapped by a colony of rainbow-colored sloths and tossed into a volcano, and then escaped in the same scene, and they just continued like the most insane thing didn't just happen. Halfway through, there's like a musical number. There's just a musical number with a bunch of vultures that just happens, and that's a thing that happens in this movie. There's that bit where Allie thinks she's a possum, and that's super weird. And at the end, there's just an extremely way too long sequence. It's a dream sequence in Scrat's brain, the squirrel. A dream sequence from Scrat where he's like in heaven with a bunch of acorns, and it's like, who wrote this movie and what was he on? Like, the first movie had a story, and it had at least good attempts at character building, like actual character moments, like the part where Manny saves Diego from the cliff. That was a good attempt at a character moment. I didn't really feel anything during that moment, but that was something. Where there was no story in this movie. It was just things happening. It's all just so messy. It's just the animals walking across a barren wasteland. It's same as the last movie, except without any of the character development that happened in the first movie. There's no nuance or subtlety. The dialogue is extremely awkward. And yeah, that's the other thing. Since the only positive that this movie has above the first is animation quality, and I was able to stop focusing on the bad animation, I was able to focus on the fact that the dialogue is so awkward. Like the score in the background, it will just be some freaking goofy like doop music, or there won't be any score at all, and it'll just be so awkward because there'll be these long pauses or long stretches. There'll be these long pauses or stretches of time with no dialogue. It's just very not fun to watch. There was one cool scene that I remembered though. That was the scene where they were all dangling on this precarious rock formation that was spinning around, and Manny and Ellie were arguing. And then that was actually pretty funny. And that was also an amusing plot device that they used to develop their relationship. But yeah, other than that, this movie made me feel nothing at all. It's just as devoid of substance as I thought it was. We're 2 for 2 here, and so far I've not been impressed at all. I've not felt anything. It's just a big mess of things. Both of these movies so far I'd probably rewatch sooner than I would Epic, though, which is where I had them on the list in the first place. So far, none of my rankings have changed. I got 3 more of these to go, dude. You know what? What time is it? I said I'd do it back to back, but I'm going to bed. I can't do this I can't.
The next day.
Okay, I'm back, and it's Ice Age time. Okay, so that one actually wasn't as bad as Ice Age 2. It was less random, it was less embarrassing. There's actually some like decent family and friendship dynamics that keep it interesting, that kind of tied the movie together. Like the awkwardness of the pacing and the dialogue was improved upon. This one's about dinosaurs, so this time they actually expanded the world more and gave us more to look at. I like Buck a lot. I like his character a lot. He's really entertaining actually, and I laughed a fair few times, genuinely, at his jokes. Even Scrat's subplot with the lady squirrel, like he meets a lady squirrel and they fight over the nut, but then he like falls in love with her. That was actually pretty funny. It was so stupid and random, but it was actually kind of funny, even though it had nothing to do with the rest of the plot. But just like the other two, it's just too mindless. Like, I'm still getting that vibe of just like, this thing happens, and then this thing happens, and then this thing happens. Sid had an entire subplot where he found some eggs and then became a mother to 3 dinosaurs. It was very ridiculous and stupid. There were a lot of weird decisions in the writing of like the characters, but the biggest one was that you at the end where Buck, he was gonna like go with the rest of the herd, but then at the last second he was like, nope, I'm actually gonna go back. Like, what was that? Why would you do that? Like, it was a nice ending. Like, the ending would have been kind of nice if Buck just went with him. Like, he had an actually good character moment. That was a good character moment, but then they ruined it by just having him leave. So this one dragged a lot less than Ice Age 2, and in terms of story, it was kind of on the same level as Ice Age 1. But honestly, I think I'd put Ice Age 3 above Ice Age 1, just because it has better animation and, like, more exciting action sequences. But I'm actually surprised that this movie was as okay as it was. So let's see how Ice Age 4 and 5 goes. I really don't know what to say about these movies anymore, because so far they've all been very much the same. We're at the 4th movie now, and I'm starting to realize just how repetitive and formulaic these are. Here's the formula. Here's the definitive formula for making an Ice Age movie. The first scene is a scene of Scrat dicking around with his acorn or something. Then it cuts to our main characters and we get straight into the drama, the conflict of the movie. Some natural disaster happens and then the characters dick around for an hour and a half. through various landscapes of the prehistoric world. It is imperative that the events do not connect to each other in any way. They have to be as incoherent as humanly possible, as mammothly possible, as tigerly possible, as slothly possible. Every so often, Manny has to remind you that he's grumpy, Diego has to remind you that he is tough, and Sid has to remind you that he is an insufferable, irritating shithead. There are two subplots going on, and we have to keep cutting back and forth between them, because that's the only way to make it engaging slightly. You have to like leave one on a cliffhanger, then cut to the other one, leave that on a cliffhanger, cut to the other one. You get the idea. And if we're lucky, we'll even get to see more scenes of Scrat dicking around with his acorn. Make many jokes that reference human stuff, i.e. two sloths driving a whale like a submarine, pretending to call someone on a cell phone with like a rock, literally showing the Statue of Liberty. They do that at one point. They show the Statue of Liberty, just straight up. Interlaced through all of this is some very basic, like, family or friend drama. And also there has to be no subtlety at all. You can't leave anything up to the audience to figure out, even like the smallest thing. Everything that you need to know for the movie, characters have to say. So like every so often, the Diego and Manny literally have to say to Sid, "We like you. You're our friend." There's this one really atrocious example of that in the movie. I don't know how many clips I'm going to show in this video, but just picture this. All the animals are walking towards a land bridge because they want to cross the other side. But then when they come to the land bridge, it's like destroyed, and then there's this wide shot of the bridge that's clearly destroyed. And what you're supposed to get from that shot is the feeling that, oh, shoot, the bridge is destroyed. What are they going to do now? But then it's kind of ruined when Ellie just says out loud, "Oh no, our bridge, it's broken." And then like a mountain starts coming towards them, like from the other side, like a wall of rock. And what you're supposed to get from that shot is, oh shoot, there's a mountain coming towards them. What are they going to do? But then again, another character says, "Oh no, a mountain's coming toward us." And then another character says, "We're trapped." Like, oh my god, I have eyes. I have eyes. Anyway, getting back to the Ice Age formula. Resolve all inter-character conflicts in the movie in a sort of satisfying but kind of forced way. They save the world from another natural disaster. The movie ends with one final scene of Scrat digging around with his acorn and screaming. Every single movie so far has ended with Scrat screaming, that is just so lazy. Like, that is so lazy. You begin and end all your movies the exact same way. And then it kind of just repeats, like, kind of just start off from square one in the next movie. You could like genuinely write one of these films in a day, because the only thing you actually have to come up with is the crazy hijinks that our furry friends will get into. I just want to talk about Scrat though. Why is he so prominently featured? Why is this guy still relevant? His shtick has gotten old. It's old now. There's not many ways you can make the same thing entertaining in 5 movies. Like half of all of these movies, literally 50% of them probably, is just slapstick. Okay, individual elements from this movie though. I'm not a fan of the, like, overprotective father, like, "I'm doing this for your own good, I just want to protect you." And then the kid's like, "Dad, you don't understand me. I can fend for myself." And then they prove to them at the end that they can do it. They're like, "Oh, I'm so proud of..." Like, how many times have you seen that? There's only one way that dynamic can play out, and it's so just... once upon a time, it might have been an engaging drama, but no, just stop. Just please don't do that. There are other ways to have conflict between a child and a parent. There's other ways to do that than just like, "Oh, you're a stupid kid, you can't do anything." "Yes, I can, and I'll prove it to you." "Oh, that's cool. I'm proud of you now." Josh Gad is in this movie. He's not very good. Neither are a lot of the voice actors. Let's see who's in this freaking movie. This age 4 cast. J-Lo's in this movie. Nicki Minaj, Drake, Alan Tudyk, Rebel Wilson, Jeremy Renner. So yeah, Blue Sky loves to just get big name actors on their films for like no reason really. It's just to like make up for the nothingness of their movies. Even movies like Epic and Horton Hears a Who have like AAA celebrities in them, and it's really confusing because of what the movie is. It's nothing. At the end of the movie, in the credits, they do this little thing where like they show all the actors' faces right next to their characters, and they're all singing a song together about family or something, and it's supposed to like give the movie a sense of personality and like let us know that people worked on it and there was passion behind the project. But that doesn't work when I just watched Ice Age 4 Continental Drift. Like, what, you want me to start getting emotional in the end credits because you're all singing a song about family? No, shut up. But I want to stress again, I don't hate these movies. Being nothing is better than being something bad. I mean, like, what are the characters I like? I'm trying to think of positives here. I like Diego. He's you know, cool. His sense of humor is my style. His voice actor, I think, is the best in these movies. His voice actor does a good job. The pirate shtick was actually kind of entertaining to watch. The musical number, the sea shanty that was halfway through, that wasn't half bad.
We really should be leaving.
We gotta get going. Oh, please.
Two? It's you. Just testing, I knew. It's me.
I liked Shira. She was actually kind of a nuanced character that they introduced. Her and Diego probably have the most interesting character dynamic so far in these movies. The character moments she has with Diego are like, they feel genuine. They feel like someone actually thought about their part of the story. They actually have some chemistry. It's pretty cute to see them falling in love. Plus, Shira's hot. Come on, you know I was gonna say that. You know, I'm just realizing that in every Ice Age movie after the first one, a new character gets a girlfriend every time. In 2, it's Manny. In 3, it's Scrat. In 4, it's Diego. And in 5, I think it's Sid. I think Sid gets a girlfriend in Ice Age 5. Can't wait to see how they do that. Like, ooh, would actually be interested in that motherfucker. Like the found family thing they did in Ice Age 1, that just wasn't enough for them, I guess. So they put in sexy squirrel and sexy saber-toothed tiger. I don't know, dude. The movies are all the same. I'd still put this above Ice Age 2. Probably not above Ice Age 1. I think the story is a little worse. There's too much going on that there's nothing going on. In Ice Age 1, at least, it was kind of simple. Okay. One more to go. Let's do this.
Why are we still here? Just to suffer.
Okay. What am I doing? What am I doing here? Dude, after this shit, I just want to watch a real movie. I want to watch Rio again. Rio's not on here. Did they delete Rio from Disney Plus? You assholes. You dump the entire Ice Age quintilogy on your streaming service, then remove the literal gem of blue sky? What is the thought process? Why would you do that? At least Buck was there. Buck is an actually funny character, I think. In fact, I think this one was actually a little funnier than the other ones. It had actually more jokes, more actual jokes than the other movies. There was that one part where Shira and Diego went up to those kids with like berry juice dripping from their mouth, and they were like, "Hi, kids," and they ran away, and that was pretty funny.
Hi, kids! I even smiled this time.
But again, there is just so much of that human reference thing humor where they just like show you a thing that humans have, except it's a little different. Bikinis, mariachi bands, timpanis, hashtags, a toilet, Neil deGrasse Tyson for some reason. They just do things that humans do, except the twist is that there's always a big natural disaster that I'm supposed to care about. At this point, at the 5th movie, I've pretty much been completely desensitized to these world-ending events. Because, like, you can only show me a world-ending event so many times before it just starts feeling like a normal Monday. Like, in the second one, it was like, oh, shit, everything's melting. Oh, that's weird. Third one, oh, okay, dinosaurs. Wow, that's cool. Fourth one, the continent's splitting apart. Oh, my God, how many more times are they going to do this? And then we get to this, and there's asteroids, and I'm like, okay, I do not give a shit. The conflict of this movie is, like, actually kind of good. The adapting to change message kind of spoke to me a little more personally. They did a much better job of the father-daughter dynamic thing where it's like, I want to go out on my own, and the dad's like, I don't want you to do that. I think they did a better job with that in this one than in number 4. And I think that is the point of these movies at its core. It's telling the story of this family and the struggles they face, except it's prehistoric animals. They had this idea for a story, but then they were like, it would be boring if it was just people, so we have to make them animals because it's funny. And that's not a bad idea on paper. It just gets old after 5 movies. Like, Peach's got a boyfriend, of course, every character has to hook up. Manny hangs out with Diego at like a bar and they talk about their wives. Manny forgets his wife's anniversary. Scrat continues to be a very unfunny and stupid addition to these movies. I don't know why they continue to focus on him. This time he directly impacts the story by fucking around in his little UFO. You know, I wonder if the creators of Ice Age actually had this as their vision. It has like a continuous thing. In the first movie is setting up all the characters. Second movie, Manny gets a wife. Third movie, they have a kid. The fourth movie, Diego gets a wife. And then also the daughter is fighting with the dad. And in the fifth movie, they all get closure. And also Sid gets a wife. It actually doesn't feel like they're making them just because for the money, because there is a continuing storyline that like needed closure. That kind of makes it all the more embarrassing though, that these movies are so just devoid of anything. See, I even remember like in Ice Age 1, when they were in that cave, there were like references to there were like little hints for the next movies. Like in Frozen, one of the icebergs was those fish, and then there was a dinosaur, and then there was a UFO. Like, I remember that. Holy shit, holy crap, it's all coming full circle. This was the plan the whole time. I really do want to give Blue Sky as much credit as possible, but yeah, you know what? I'm gonna think about these movies for a while. I'm gonna come back to you with a conclusion. These movies are for no one but babies. It's as simple as that. They are all just a collection of fun and wacky adventures mixed in with very base level messages about family. Somehow they're not frustratingly bad, which is something, I guess. Like, usually with these franchises that absolutely milk it dry, they just get really awful and offensive. And I didn't actually feel that with Ice Age, which I guess I have to give them like a little props for. But there is not a lot of passion to be found, no attention to detail to be appreciated, no nuance to be detected. There is absolutely nothing below the surface with these movies, unlike a glacier. You know the phrase, the tip of the iceberg? These movies are just the tip of the iceberg, and there's nothing under the iceberg. I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe they're just spending too much money to get these random celebs to be in their movies, and then they don't have enough left over to pay writers who actually know what they're doing. So yeah, basically nothing about my ranking of this franchise as a whole has changed since my original video. All these movies just exist. They're essentially the same with like slight variations to the premise. I would put Epic below all of these movies because it's just really, really boring and nonsensical. And I would put Ferdinand above all these movies because it's a coherent product that is engaging and clearly has heart. But if you were to ask me to rank the Ice Age movies individually, that's where it gets tricky. So I've devised a system of factors that I'm going to use to definitively rank the Ice Age movies. And because they're all so similar, I was forced to get very granular with this. And I got this board, so I'm gonna give you a visual aid. So I kind of took some time to think about like the elements of a movie and which ones are the most important in like determining whether or not I enjoy the experience or not. And I kind of boiled it all down to 3 major areas. The first one is, how interesting is it? Second, how coherent is it? How much does it feel like it's an actual thing that's happening? And like, does it make sense? You know, that kind of thing. And the third thing is, do I care about the characters? This is the best way I can think of to analyze these movies, kind of like a grading system. Like, how much do they do each of these things? And then I kind of come up with the general percentage. It's kind of arbitrary, but anyway, let's get into it. My brother's playing drums outside. I hope you can't hear that. So we're going to start with the worst Ice Age movie and then work our way up. In 5th place, and this one was kind of a surprise to me, but number 2. This one is, by a small margin, the most incoherent of all of them. I'm pretty much giving it a 0 in this category. It was really just, God, things happening, and then this thing happened, and then it was just so random and so stupid. It is very messy in terms of its pacing and structure. Like, they're just walking along their little path, and all of a sudden something happens, like some natural disaster thing. It just happens. The characters are somehow a little worse. Maybe I was just imagining that, but the characters are just a little worse in this movie. The dialogue is noticeably more awkward, and their development is just really half-assed. It's not good on any front. It had me with my head in my hands the most out of these movies. You just can't make 5 movies with the same characters, each one with self-contained character arcs, and have them all be good. But somehow it's the second movie that falls the flattest, which, yeah, I did not expect that. So, like, interestingness, probably give it like a 5 out of 10. And the characters, fucking like 2. So, not a good score. Moving on to number 4, we have number 4. The main father-daughter conflict and friend-to-friend conflicts in this one were very lame and cliche. So I'm gonna give it about the same score in that aspect as 2, probably like, maybe one more, like a 3. Coherency, it was still very random, but like less so than 2, so 2. But what it lacks in these 2 fields, it definitely makes up for in just crazy, wacky hijinks and cool sequences and stuff. There were some actually entertaining, like, action sequences in this movie with the whole pirates and whatnot. So I'm gonna give it, like, probably like an 8. I might be being a little generous, but who cares? Oh yeah, and this movie also had She-Ra, so definitely a plus.
Just stop!
Okay, at number 3, and this might be controversial, but I'm gonna have to go with number 1. I went into this thinking that it would at least be the least worst. Like, people were actually telling me, no, the first Ice was actually kind of good, and then it got bad after they kept making more sequels. But no, it's actually, like, the most boring out of all of these. There was so little going on, visually, thematically, and literally. The characters were fine. I liked seeing Manny and Diego's origins. They had some actually good character moments, kind of. But then there was Sid. I don't think I need to say anything about that fucker. Like, I want to talk about Sid for a second. Who, like, conceived his character? Who told John Leguizamo to, like, do that lisp on purpose? I know that's not how he talks, because he was hilarious in Encanto. Okay, but let's not linger on that. There was, in fact, a coherent through line in the story that I could grab onto, sort of, but I just can't get past the boring part. It was kind of painful just watching these assholes walk around in the snow for 90 minutes. Even if their character dynamics were, like, kind of amusing and the movie was somewhat genuine, seeing as it was the first one, it just, like, wasn't for me. It didn't grab me. It was just not interesting. So, like, characters, in terms of the way they introduced them, it actually wasn't bad, so I'm giving it like a 7. Coherency, since there was so little going on, it didn't feel ridiculous, so I will give it a high score in this field, probably like an 8. But interestingness, it was so bland, so like 2. Alright, at number 2, we have number 3. Buck is introduced in this movie, which, yeah, he's really fun. I had a fun time with this one. Manny and his parental stress was mildly engaging to watch, and there was a lot of crazy fun action that this time actually kind of feels thought out a little bit. So it gets a high score in interestingness, probably same as 4, like an 8. Coherency, it was definitely not as good as 1, but better, obviously better than these 2. I'm gonna go meet in the middle and be like 6. That's not the middle. Whatever. The characters was not really feeling it. They kind of were just dicking around like they usually do. 5. And at number 1, that leaves number 5. Now, hear me out on this one. I'm as surprised as you are. I definitely did not expect the last installment of this milked dry franchise would score the best balance of all these things in my mind. Don't get me wrong, I really do not give a shit about these characters. But they had some nice closure in this movie, and the happy ending was justified. This movie might actually make me want to watch it again, just because it has the most interesting stuff going on. The entire gang is in this movie, every single character introduced for the past 4 movies, except for Josh Gad's character from Ice Age 4, who was Peach's best friend. He's just gone for some reason. But, like, the characters, they do make a good family. I'll give them that. Also, Buck comes back, which is kind of weird, how he just skipped the 4th one, then came back. I don't know. A lot of things about this franchise are strange and I'll never understand. Pretty much everyone who I've heard talk about these movies has said that the fifth one is their least favorite. Like, the story's bad, it's just ridiculous, they couldn't wait for it to end. But, like, none of these movies are good, okay? The stories are all bad, they're all the same, pretty much. Except the fifth one. The fifth one has, like, velociraptor birds, it has, space UFOs, there's magnet rocks, there's a colony of people living in this geode. There's like a wedding in this movie, and there's a dance number, and like, I have to say that I was not miserable watching that movie. Also, the fact that it kind of concluded, I guess, satisfied me a little more than when they kind of just left it open in the last four. So interest, I'm once again gonna go with the high score on this one. Coherency, like, yeah, it's like an actual story. There is a story in this one, so probably like a 7. And for characters, I'm gonna go 5, cause like they got a good ending. Like, they got a good ending. They all kind of wrapped up their arcs that they kind of sort of had. Like, I was actually kind of sort of happy for them, and like definitely didn't expect to feel that while watching these movies. Oh yeah, and Scrat, the little squirrel guy, his subplot in this movie actually directly affects the main plot. And so I kind of appreciate how they connected it. They didn't just throw it in there for no reason. They actually connected it to the main plot. So there you go. This is where I'm at with these movies. I will never be watching any of these again, except for maybe the fifth one. If anyone like offers for me to watch that, I might watch it. Okay, I'm done with Ice Age. Goodbye. What? What do you mean there's more? TV specials? No, fuck, I'm not watching the... That's right, ladies and gentlemen, I also watched the Ice Age holiday specials. Why? I don't know. I sure didn't have to. I guess I was just bored. I'm kind of bummed there was never a holiday special for Rio, because that would have been a much more appropriate way to fulfill that craving for more of the characters that a lot of people had without actually giving it the chance to drag on too long and become unbearable. Also, there would have been no need to assassinate the main character and retroactively ruin the plot of the last movie with an entirely new arc, and instead have it set on Christmas in Rio with the kids, and it would have been this nice little thing that could have been wrapped up in like 20 minutes, but instead, you had to go and make a soul-sucking feature-length film written around the paper-thin idea that someone probably suggested in the boardroom half asleep. But I digress. The Christmas one is total garbage. I don't like it. But the Great Eggscapade is actually the best Ice Age thing, I think. And there's one simple reason for that. It is mercifully short. See, this is the kind of format that I think these characters work better in than like 90-minute long adventures. There's not enough potential in these characters in this premise for that like lengthy and serious of a story. 25 minutes is just long enough for these characters to make some jokes, do some funny stuff, and have it wrap up without it feeling unbearable. I will say that the jokes about parallels to human stuff is just the worst in this short. But because of what it is, it's just like, it's just good fun and nothing more. Like, I don't judge it on the same level as the feature-length films that they produced about these same characters. Ice Age might have actually made like a decent TV show. Actually, that reminds me, they're making like a TV show about Buck, aren't they? But yeah, Ice Age probably would have made like a decent kids TV show, because the randomness would have been slightly justified by a disconnected episodic format. Why did I start talking about this? I don't know. Just end the video. Cut it. There. I did it. I gave these movies another chance, and I put my opinions of them on record. And now, if you please, I would like to forget about them forever. So here is my new Blue Sky ranking list, post Ice Age Refresher. You can find my list on Letterboxd, along with sneak peek reviews for movies I watched before the big video I intend to make about them later. Bye, new friends. I'm gonna go Google Shira Rule 34. See ya. So, and I got this board, so I'm gonna give you a visual aid. And I got this board, so I'm gonna give you. And I got this board, so I'm gonna give you a visual aid. And I got this